We have so many different cultures. We have the Kabbalah, we have the chakra system, we have astrology, we have neuroscience. There's so many different approaches and tools around the world that are saying the same thing.
If you would have to use simple words to explain what is astrology and human design?
Human design is just how your aura works. So just to give you an example of how that could look like is we have to be so aware of what the universe is giving us. If you're new to human design, once you find what you're truly passionate about and excited about, the more you do it, the more your battery gets filled.
And we're gonna jump straight to it. Can you tell us who is Catherine? If you would have to introduce yourself today compared to Catherine 5 years ago, who are you?
It's a big question, but I'll answer in who Catherine is today. Catherine is an astrologer and human design reader, and she gets to coach amazing women and men, helping them tap into who they are, remembering that essence of what they came here to do and who they came here to be.
If you would have to use simple words to explain to our viewers, what is astrology and human design?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So first of all, it's important to know that human design, we can almost see it as astrology 2.0. The founder, Ra'uruhu, his idea was, we have so many different cultures around the world. We have the Kabbalah, we have the chakra systems, we have astrology, we have neuroscience. There's so many different approaches and tools around the world that are saying the same thing. They're talking the same language and they're all trying to do the same thing, and it's understand who we are and almost get a blueprint of who we came here to be. So he got that download, and it was just clear that human design was going to bring all of these beautiful tools together, and it was going to really synthesize all of it. So it's very young.
So where does it draw from?
So if you really look at it, there's 9 centers, but these centers are chakras. If you look at the Kabbalists, they have a very similar symbol that looks like the human design chart. So it really is all of this coming together. Astrology plays with the circle that's meant to be around the human design chart, which helps the planets. Because if I go a little bit scientific on you guys, there are neutrino streams around us right now. So as I'm speaking, there are subatomic particles that are passing through all of us. And these particles are all shot from the solar system and coming down to Earth. So all of that, astrology, planets coming through, this energy coming through, and then Catherine born February 27th, this time, let's take a snapshot of the sky at the moment of her birth. And that's going to give us not only her astrology technically, but it's going to guide us in understanding her blueprint. And it's an experiment. At the end of the day, we always say human design is born in 1987. Okay, yes, the download was taken at that time. It does come through with ancient wisdom, but it's still an experiment. We are still to this day showing that what this man was able to download is being proven, but it's still an experiment. So what I tell people is, don't use my word, test it. Just test it and see what happens. And 99% of the time people come back to me and
99, that's a big number.
Yes,
amazing.
That's our human design. I will never let go of astrology, because astrology allows me to be more in like my feminine and my intuition. But human design is just how your aura works and how it interacts with the world. So if you start with just the 3 basic, which is your energy type, your authority, and your profile type, just that, you can change your life. You can change your life.
Was there a precursor to human design? Since you said it was born in 1987, was there any ancient different method that eventually evolved into human design, or it's
simply, think of it of, a lot of people have a hard time with this part of human design, but it was technically downloaded during 7 days. So this person, Rahu, the founder, was 7 days in this
What's his name?
unconscious Ra-Uruhu.
Okay. You know what I heard?
What?
Rahu, woo, you know, like when they say it's a woo woo story.
Oh, that would have been so good.
I was like, what are the odds? Yeah, he has that name.
So his
Yeah.
name is Robert Krakoven,
Okay.
and he's from Montreal, which is the crazy
Oh,
part.
wow.
He's a
That's crazy.
Montrealer. He's a Montrealer, and he downloaded this in Ibiza. So 7 days, he was unconscious. He's just writing down. He just
Not downloaded from the internet.
no.
Okay,
like
just
He
from
received
source.
the download
He-
from
from
source. So
yeah.
he
had a-
received 7. Can you imagine 7 days just writing? And then he comes out of this download and he has all of these papers and he's seeing all of the links that he was able to make between Kabbalah, chakra system,
Wow.
astrology, quantum physics. Like he can't
He
make
may
this
have-
up.
he may have had that where you take everything and you assimilate it, and one of the his life purpose.
It was so beautiful. So there's something you can't really explain human design from that point of view, but then you look at the ancient wisdom, and
Mhm.
astrology has been here for thousands of years. Like this is
Yeah.
proven. This has been used.
For anybody that doesn't really understand the word download, like what do you mean you get a download? It's
Good
kind of
point.
like when you have a writer's block and then it's unblocked. Like you hear about this, poets, writers, singers, right?
Like I know when you are speaking about astrology, or sometimes when you are connecting with people, or like when you have your visions, there are these downloads that come, and it's this information when you are connected to like source. And when you have those downloads, it guides you to speak or say certain things that maybe if you weren't so connected that you wouldn't have said. And speaking of writer's block, The Alchemist, the book The
Mhm.
Alchemist. So Paulo Coelho, he actually had an interview with Oprah, and he was like, when I read that book, sometimes I'm like, did I write that? Like he was like, I don't know
Wow.
who was that person that wrote that basically he received a download that guided him to write those words in that book. It sounds like these resources, these tools that you're using, it's one way for us to discover ourselves. Out of all these self-discovery tools out there, why did you choose these two to be the one that you want to work with?
Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I've been using, I remember the first time I dabbled in coaching, I saw a lot of the word NLP. So I actually have an NLP
Certification.
certification. Also, it was hypnotherapy, EFT tapping, and it just didn't stick. It was just not the thing. But when astrology came into my life in the way that it came into my life, because we just have to bring people back in context of me 2022 just having this realization that trading is just not going to do it for me, and I was so unfulfilled. So I really just gave myself an objective: fall back in love with yourself, and that's going to be it. Just fall back in love.
Did it have anything to do with reading sacred
It's
contracts?
definitely
A
has to
book?
do with sacred contracts. So this book was the first assignment I gave myself, was to read sacred contracts and to connect with my archetypes and understand a little bit more of who I'm here to be. And through writing my story, that helped a lot. And then astrology was just like circling around me over and over and over. It was just like constant. It was everywhere on social media, everywhere I was looking, astrology was there. So I was like, you know what? Let's take a certification just for yourself, just to connect with yourself. And at that same moment, my sister is like, I think you'd really like human design. I don't know why you've never dabbled in it. There's this book, Jenna Zoe, this girl you really like. She's reading that book from her. I'm sure you're gonna. So she got me with my emotions, because I look up to this Melissa Wood Health. So when Melissa Wood Health is reading that book, I'm like, fine, I'm gonna read it if she's reading it. And she knew that from that point of view, I was gonna read it. So these two things happen at the same time. I'm discovering myself through human design and just like mind blown by understanding how my energy works. And then at the same time, the certification comes through, and the girl is just like, if your MC, if your midheaven is in Aquarius and you took this class, you're the astrologer of the zodiac. And she said that, and I just
Were you the only one that potentially had. Oh, you wouldn't know
So
actually.
anyone,
Yeah.
so it was online. So anyone with an
Yeah.
Aquarius MC, it doesn't mean you're meant to be an astrologer.
Yeah.
But because I was taking the course, she knew that if there's someone that's meant to do it,
It's
that's
It was-
the
And it-
Aquarius.
And
know?
again, I think, I mean, that sounds like E equals MC square, right? Like it's just
So you see how you see that? It's like I was gonna say I'm one of the guilty person who before being on a spiritual growth path, when you would tell me astrology, I would be like, isn't that like horoscopes in magazines, you know? So what would you say is the biggest misconception that people have about astrology, and how would you like to clear it up?
I love that question because just so you all know, I've never connected with my horoscope. I remember being so young and being like, I'm not like, am I really a Pisces? I don't get it. Like, yes, okay, I'm creative, I'm emotional,
Yeah.
but like, am I like, is that really a Pisces? And I would read the horoscope and I was like, BS.
That's
No,
not
no,
me.
no.
Yeah,
No, no,
same
no,
thing
that's
for
not
me.
So I almost like brushed and really felt like though I was reading them,
Yeah.
I just didn't feel connected. So people don't know that your horoscope is based on your sun sign. Your sun sign is one of the many planets. Like we have so many planets. If you look at my chart, I'm more of an Aquarius and a Capricorn than I
Wow.
am a Pisces. So poor little girl is told like this is what a Pisces is. So you're thought to not believe in it because you're like, I don't connect with what they're saying. It's way too
General.
box and general, but a chart is so much more. Like, where's your Venus? That's your
Mhm.
femininity. Where's your Mars? That's your masculinity. Where's your Mercury? How are you meant to speak? Where's your Saturn? That's your teacher, your life lessons. There's so much. And like horoscope,
It's a
sun
commercial
sign.
way to make some money.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
And give a little extra.
So I'm really, I don't subscribe to horoscopes.
Yeah.
Like that's just the honest truth. Astrology is so much deeper
Yeah.
than just the horoscope.
From what you had told us, you did work with your sister at some point.
Yes. So at this point, I was doing social media management. And my sister is in her law job and she's so unhappy. And we are just like brainstorming of what we can do together. At that point, she was still in her job. And she has such an aesthetic eye. So we were like, how can we just come together? Let's create a branding studio together. So she gave her resignation. And I will always remember because at that point, I wanted to become a coach. I was having so much of a hard time finding clients. I don't understand what happened during that time. I was unable to find clients. And then Jen comes in and we're just like proclaiming ourselves like we are Kumu is our branding studio looking for clients, and literally 3 clients come in. So that was it was a small moment in our lives. We just had so much fun. She realized a lot on her end. She was just like, okay, no, this is maybe not for me. It's more your thing. And at that point, trading came into our lives.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we gave up this branding studio and we started trading together and we learned together. And at that point, I could see. I knew the second that she started trading, I was like, that's what she's meant to do. And I remember being so jealous. I had that moment of being like, I want that too, because I was so sick of the label of this calm, zen, nice angel. I was just fed up of that.
You look like an angel.
I
You
know,
do.
and now I embrace it. And now
I know, but I get
love
it.
it. I embrace it. But before, can you imagine a 16-year-old girl being told like, "Oh my God, you really look nice and like an angel"? Do you think that guys go for the angel at 16 years old? They don't. So I was always just like the friend. And I remember my sister just being so good. And I was like, wouldn't that look so good? Like this girl that looks super nice. But then you turn around and you're like, what do you do? I would have been like, I'm a trader. And my ego was feeling it for 2 years. I'm like, yep, I'm the trader. I'm the trader. And literally just before this podcast, I was reading my journal and I remember reading back my words. I'm like,
Wow.
my ego is feeding this trading. I am so unfulfilled. I am so unhappy.
Mm.
There's more for me. So at the beginning, she doesn't know. Like Catherine in January 2023 is writing, not knowing what's going to happen, but she knew that trading was just feeding her ego. And I lost myself in my sister's identity for sure because we look alike. We tend to like share our identity sometimes. But 2 years ago, we just understood that it was time to
separate.
separate.
It's funny that you said that, because you said something that's super important. I want to dig a little bit deeper into this feeling. How did you navigate that emotion? Because sometimes the people that are closest to you are those that might envy you the most, right? So how did you react to that emotion of feeling some type of way with you and her being traded, but it was working for her, not for you? How did you navigate that feeling?
Good question. It took me months of sitting in this idea. I was sure. I was like, okay, you're going to trade gold from 9 to 10, and then you're going to get your clients and you're going to do the readings and you're going to do both. Yeah, that's what you're going to do. So I'm like 3 months in, I can do it. I can do it. And then my sister sits me down and she's like, do you know that you're making more money in your astrology and human design business as you are doing in trading? Like, why are you keeping trading? Like, you're so busy. I don't get it. And I remember feeling like a smack on the face. My sister is a projector, like you did, and I really see her as my guide. So when she said that, there's something in me that was just like, I laughed at myself. I'm like, girl, your ego. And I remember even feeling like, being in like networking events and like, what do you do? I was like, I'm a trader. And it was so sexy to be like, I'm a trader, and like you would never.
It made you
think.
feel good, but inside you were empty.
Because it was it was a nice societal title.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people understood what it meant. Okay, a trader. I get it.
Yeah.
It
was cool. Like, I wanted to be the edgy sister, but that's like, Jen takes that title. She's too cool for me. She's edgy. She's a little bit, darker soul, but she has like that, that soulful soul. And then I'm just pure, and I'm coming to accept it and even embrace it at this point.
And use it as a power.
That's it.
Yeah. So what made that shift? What happened for you to be like, I'm going to do this and forget the trading. I'm going to do this. Like, what was that shift for you?
The second that's where some people think that healing takes so much work, and it's going to be like inner child, and you're going to have to cut the cords, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all have our path, but I have a very different perspective. I see it more as our shadows and our gifts are literally the same coin. It's just the perspective through which we look at them.
Amazing.
So at that
Love
point, I'm looking at my ego, like trading. And little did I know, I just had to be aware of it. The second my ego was spotted, right? The soul is like, that's ego. You're coming from ego. Stop it. Then the soul can come forth and being like, it's always been this. Like, I've always wanted to help people. I've always wanted to help people understand who they are. So it was just like this knowing of being like, how ridiculous were you? I feel like we have to laugh at ourselves a little bit. As human beings, we have to be like the soul just looking upon us and laughing and being like, oh, Kat, you're cute. You thought that you were going to become a trader. Like, who do you think you are? Like, you've always wanted to help people. It was never going to be that. Never. And I'm so social. Can you imagine Kat at her desk all alone looking at a chart? No.
But we are looking at charts now.
That's so funny. We realized that Jen and I were like, oh my God, we both work with charts.
It's good that you said that, because sometimes this moment where you checked your ego, it's like we have to go through those phases in life. Like they say, I read something recently that says, failure is not the opposite of success. It's the tuition fee. And it's like you have to go through this to be able to reach that other side, right? Because if you haven't done this, imagine maybe you would have stepped into another thing, and again, ego would have kicked in, and who knows what would have happened, right? So
how did you handle that with your family when you decided to go into this field? How did you talk to your parents about it, or?
At that point, at that point, they weren't surprised, but it was before. So it started with me always being I was very different. I've always felt a little bit like the black sheep of the family, but in a very
misfit.
beautiful, yeah, in a very beautiful way. I was always like either wanting to become a singer, a host. I wanted to, like, I've always wanted to be in the eye of the public. So I knew that there was something with that. Then my dad was like, oh, maybe she's going to be like in court in front of people and she's going to speak, she's so good at speaking. But then my interests slowly, I think, gave them the clue that like she's not going to choose a typical path. It was, like the small things like starting to do a blog, podcasting, then even wanting to become a spin instructor at one point. Like I really was so atypical that I think that it was almost like we understand now that Catherine is Catherine and we just let her be. And it was almost because I announced them at a point where I was already flowing in my business. It was so instant that I think my parents just understood, okay, she's really happy. Like this is really working. And I remember my dad asking me like, so how much do you charge? How does this work? And on a business point of view, he's like, this makes sense. This makes sense. Okay.
Have you ever done a reading for a skeptical person, and how did that go?
Those are literally the best readings because you start with a person having that, that question in mind, and you can see that they're not sure that they're going to really relate or if they're going to connect to what I'm going to say. And it ends up being the best readings because you get the person closed and you slowly but surely open them up and you help them understand that I'm not telling you to become a doctor. I'm not telling you to become XYZ. What I'm giving you is just this overarching theme, just understanding the flavors of who you're meant to be. And from there, you go into the world because you have the answers. I don't have the answers. We have to be so aware of what the universe is giving us in the moment. Like, what are the signs? What are the clues? What conversations are you having? It's much more than just the chart because that's your higher self, right? So I'm reading their highest potential, but I want them to be aware that it's going to take years to get to that point.
Yeah. That speaking of that, just thinking about like my dad, like so I grew up with him really believing in numerology, and that's like plays a big role in astrology and even human design. And he once went to an astrologer and a psychic when I was younger. And the psychic was like, Luann is going to grow up to be this, well-spoken leader. She's not going to answer to anybody. She's going to be, powerful and very confident. And my dad looked at me and was like, what do you mean? Like, she comes home crying every day. She's being bullied at school like every day. What do you mean she's going to become this person? And so, but the astrology, they saw that in the chart that, eventually life happens, but you're going to become this person. And, sometimes it takes years for you to go through that journey and that path to have those charts play out.
Absolutely. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And even I have clients reading their chart a year after their reading and coming out of it with something different because your life changes. We're human beings. We will go through 3D and human experiences, but that underlying essence is never going to change. It's just going to manifest in different ways.
Interesting point you're making, the underlying essence. For people who are more skeptical, meaning, does that mean that our destiny is written? What's your opinion on?
It's a very good question. And it's a very divided answer. Some people truly don't believe in destiny. Some do. I am a huge believer of destiny, but I'm also a huge believer that we do have free will. So we do come in with our human behaviors and our human experiences that come in tint how quickly we will go down our paths and if are your timelines going to collapse or no? Are you going to constantly self-sabotage, making your journey a little bit longer? It's going to be meant to be at the end of the day, but I do believe that our free will does come through and can really sometimes fast track our journey, or sometimes it can make it a little bit slower. It's still as it's supposed to, but the destiny, I truly believe that it's written for us.
Me personally, in my spiritual path, I've been so in tune with the universe and paying attention to the signs. Obviously, there was a pivotal moment that happened in my life where things that occurred, I was like, there's no way this is just scientifically proven, right? So I've learned to, because I was never a believer of, the church spiritual aspect. I was more a believer of the universe itself. But for people that are more like, they lean on science-backed information, how would you say you ground your work in practical ways that people can apply in their life? Because when I hear different things, when you go a bit scientific, we could be like, okay, what are we talking about? So how do you help people maneuver through practical ways once you've done a reading for someone?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And as I was just saying before, when you think about these subatomic particles, this is all science-based. It is all proven. To this point, this is proven. That was one of the things that the founder was saying, and no one was believing him. And now science to this day has proven that specific part of these subatomic particles that are encoding us of who we're here to be. But when it comes to the practical, and that's why I think I never speak of subatomic particles with my clients, and will always make sure to use a vocab that they can understand. Meaning that's where human design, I feel, is one of the easiest language for people to understand, because they're able to understand that we all have this aura around us. Most people, even if you're a believer or not, you know that you are energy. You know that there's this energy of you that's emitting. So human design is just telling you, okay, but how are you meant to use it practically in your day-to-day? Like, are you a generator? You're meant to use momentum and work steady and be very linear and become a master of your craft. Or are you a manifesting generator and you're meant to pivot and try things out? Or are you a projector? You're meant to guide people. So these are words that people can actually say, like, oh, hey, I actually understand that. Or even when I speak of their authority, how they're meant to make decisions, usually, let's say I'm speaking to a sacral authority, I'm like, have you ever felt like a pull towards things or repulsion when something is not meant for you? I can use different examples and people can always relate. So I always try to use these analogies that people can understand, because it is difficult. Like, this is science. So it's a lot of words that people don't understand, especially if you look at a human design chart and astrology, people get really overwhelmed. And I'm like, that's the point. You come to me so I can decode that. And I have this ease to speak that language, because it is a language.
And that's why I really loved the experience that I had when I had the reading through you. Because like Alex, the previous one, I think it was like just opening me up, but like Alex said, she gave her, I think, the wrong date or time. Yeah, the
first time you did it with another person, I gave a 12-hour difference for your time of birth. So the chart didn't really resonate with you, I think.
Yeah, when I had it with you, just like any experience, whether it's like Sacred Gift with Loan or Human Design with you, I always approach spirituality with an open mind. I'm like, I'm not here to expect anything. If it works, great. If it doesn't, great. And I think this is one of the things that I would tell any viewer is, when you hear astrology, sacred gifts, or any sort of method that can help you develop yourself, just go in it with an open mind and see what's out there. Because I liked the fact that these two experiences, whether it was Sacred Gift or you with the Human Design, I was able to see what was being said in my everyday life, going back to when I started transitioning towards a spiritual journey till this day, right? So I think it's super important, because a lot of times when people hear this, they could be like, oh my God, not another shrink, or, but yeah, to approach it with an open mind.
My personal experience with human design, which is still a beginner experience, I'm still exploring it and I love it, is that you don't have to be a believer in astrology or in any of those systems to benefit from a reading in human design. Because I feel like the human design reading is like a map. All you need is a curious mind and like a hungry soul and the desire to get to know yourself at a deeper level.
Would you say how does understanding human design could change or impact relationship, whether it's like couple relationship or parenting, these aspects of lives?
In an immense way. I think that it's one of my favorite ways to look at human design is through the lens of this is my blueprint, but this is your blueprint. Can you please honor mine and can I please honor yours? So a really great example is my sister and I would always maybe say things about each other that weren't so nice. I would sometimes tell her that she was lazy, that she wasn't doing enough. And she would always tell me that I was like such a workaholic. I work too much. And then when I learned about our human design and just saw how a generator that I am, once you find what you're truly passionate about and excited about, the more you do it, the more your battery gets filled. So that way I'm able to plug into the people that I love. So there's actually a purpose in me continuing to work. And then when I learned about her human design and understanding how projectors are so different and have this supersonic battery, smaller than we have, but supersonic, it's like I do ABCD and projectors look at you and they're like, do you know you can go from A to D? Like, I don't get why you're doing all these steps. So they're cutting through, they're making it more synthesized and just better. And they're here to guide us. So I remember coming to her, and at your best, a projector should work 3 hours a day. And I remember going to her and being like, I'm so sorry to have ever doubted that you were trusting your energy and you were resting when you needed. So now can you just please respect that for me, work doesn't drain me. It actually really fuels me and it brings me energy. So can you see how a couple, what that happens in a couple or just like parents and their kids? Like my nephew she's actually, so my niece, she's a manifester. She's in the 8%. She's a small percentile. And just seeing her grow as this independent, knowing what she wants. So manifester are like initiators. And I'm seeing my cousin just let her be and let her choose and make these decisions as a little girl. I'm like, I told them the power of what they're doing for her is going to be immense one day because she's really honoring her manifestor within and she's not suppressing it. So understanding your loved one's energy type is just honoring who they are, really.
Have you done your parents? Your dad and
Oh my God. So I'm about to call the hospital because they don't have their date of birth. So we actually don't know. So I only know my sister and I's.
You mean the time of birth?
Yeah, so I don't know my parents' date of birth. So the hour of
Okay.
birth. So
they're born here?
They're born here. So I would have to call the hospital and get the archives out. I had to do mine because, I really needed the true information. So that's one thing that I really want to do because I feel like that could really help even like our dynamic. And know, like, is there another projector in our family? Do we have like, I'd love to know. Yeah.
And I feel like they would be fascinated with your work too, because like, I don't know if they understand what you do,
They have a hard time, but when they hear me speak and when they hear me talk about it, they do have that curiosity. And they were like, there's even moments where my parents were like, I'd love to know what my energy type is. But it's like, no, we don't have the information. And I truly do really want to respect to have an individual's, at least like you have to have an approximate because it's not going to be a little bit like your experience, Dizzy. Like first reading didn't speak to you and the second one did. So I really want to honor that.
It sounds like there is a strong sense of acceptance when you understand each other's like design and everything. And my question is, what would be like the pitfalls of knowing your design? Because like you said, as a projector, we're only supposed to work 3 hours. I'm like, okay, 3 hours, that's it. I'm off, going to have fun. So what are the potential pitfalls in knowing what your design
It's
is?
a good question. I would say you never want to go in extremes. So you never want to go in the extreme of being like, I'm a projector, I don't need to do much, I can boss people around, because there are words like that projectors can really relate to, of knowing. And you can see a projector when they're younger, they do have a little bit that like they just know, they know how to do things. So they're a little bit bossier. Like my sister was really good at like, why are you guys doing it this way? It should be this way. So I think that it's not going too in the extreme of taking this as like black and white, right? Like of being like face front.
Too associated to it.
Yeah,
Right.
like it's not a 3 hour. It doesn't mean that you're a projector that you should only work 3 hours. It's like
absolutely.
if you feel drained, give yourself that moment, go to bed earlier, give yourself that time. So it's more that and not going to the extremes of being too associated. We never want to be attached to anything in this life. So even when I do my readings, it's like I'm not expecting you all to be so attached to it that you're like, oh, I can't get out of this spectrum of what she told me that I'm meant to do. No, like life is going to send you curveballs and you're meant to experiment with them.
Again, it's just a tool, a map, that you can go back to, just like the what is it, the Alchemist, Paul Coelho, they say every time you read it,
There's something else.
it's something else that will show up.
A question that I've been dying to ask you: how does someone who does astrology and human design, specifically you, Catherine,
Yeah.
how does that impact your love relationship?
That's a good question. So first of all, I'm still single, so that just putting out there. But I actually can't wait to experience that with a partner. But I want to give myself a warning of not get too into their astrology and their human design, because I do want to let life teach me that person and not let me get into his chart and wanting to know all and like how can we make sure that we're compatible. Like I don't want to get down that route, because I really could.
Or be like, no, it's not gonna work because your readings is
Exactly. Almost like that could really bring up some flags. But I can't wait for that. But I am using it so well with like my sister, for example. And that's where I'm just learning that, okay, like you haven't found your person yet. I can't wait to do it with that person. But I'm able to see how beautiful it is with just like my sister, getting to know my niece, getting to know my nephews, and just reading their charts and getting to know them. So I do know that there's so many people come to astrology for love. And that's one thing that I don't subscribe to. I've done synastry, I've done love astrology readings for people. I can do it. I let the universe bring me whoever's meant to come my way. But my belief is if I make sure that Alex is at her best and I make sure that Didier is at his best, then 100% with 100% makes like a power couple, makes for the best team ever. So that's why when people sometimes come to me being like, when am I going to meet love? When am I going to do this? And I'm like, no, I'm not a predictive astrologer. I am here to help you become your best version of self, not when you're going to have kids or find the love of your life.
I love
That's
that.
not what I want to do.
I mean, that was definitely our experience where we came together. I mean, we definitely met you after we fell in love and after we came together, and then you did both of our charts. And now, a year into it, we're still exploring and learning how to dance around our personalities. And it definitely impacted our couple.
Absolutely.
Dynamics impacted in a positive way. It's not perfect, but it's giving us additional tools to understand each other on a different level.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from me. It's this idea of, it's not, okay, it's a holy Bible. It's more of a using these tools as a helper to help you navigate understanding and also help you communicate with different human beings by understanding yourself, when to and when not to You know, if you would have to share one lesson that you would want our viewers to take away from human design, what would you share with our viewers?
I would want to say, if you're new to human design, just looking into your energy type, so the way that you're meant to use your energy with the world, just that little piece of information can truly change your life. And I'm using these big words because they truly have changed mine. So just to give you an example of how that could look like is, for example, me living my whole life thinking I was this multi-passionate, meant to do 10 things at the same time, and really burning myself out and feeling like, oh my God, like, is there something wrong with me? Like, I'm seeing so many amazing entrepreneurs that are doing 5 things at the same time, and I would compare myself. So just there, comparing, we're over with it. Once you know your human design and how you're meant to use your energy, you start honoring and worshiping your type. So I was living as a manifesting generator. These 2 amazing ladies are Manny Gens, and I look up to Manny Gens so much because I am like exhausted when I see how much they can do. Really exhausted. Like a generator is just like, please, this is too much. Like, can we just like slow down a little bit? Can we take it step by step? Like, you know, like the generator is just like, once we find that thing, we're meant to become masters. And I remember reading the sentence, you're a generator, you're meant to master your craft and find that thing that lights you up. And I was like, oh, I found it.
Yeah.
So like, do I really get to just do that and have fun and only read about that and only talk about that almost and only do that as a career? Can I do that? Because I've always been around amazing serial entrepreneurs that do so much. So you tend to think that you're not doing enough as a generator. You're like, I'm not doing enough. Like, is there something wrong with me? So you just understand that there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
Just discovering your energy. I want to give one example between me and him as 2 human beings. So we operate at a different speed. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just different. And people are like that. We're different. We think faster or slower. We go in full force or we are more hesitant. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just different. And once you understand your type of energy, and it gives you an insight on other people's energy, you just operate in the world a little bit better, whether it's with the people who are closest to us, like your significant other and your parents, or just your coworkers. And I think you nailed it.
I think
I also see that. Yeah.
I just want to add the word compassion. The second you know your design and you know someone else's, you start having so much more compassion for the others and compassion for yourself, of being like, you were so difficult on yourself. Like, you're not meant. Yeah, just give yourself a pat. Like, it's going to be fine. You're not.
Less stress.
Exactly. You're not a Manny Gen. It's fine. It's fine. So
I so agree. Like, when we understand who we are, like, I find these are powerful tools to do that. We just have so much more compassion and acceptance for us. And also working with you 2 in the office, I actually see how like there are moments of frustration, but right away you guys like, okay, she's like that, he's like that, I get it. And that compassion is just so like apparent. It shows up every day when you guys are working together, and I see it. I love it.
And it's also because like for me, whether it's a business relationship, a friendship, a love relationship, it's all relationships that we're building to different people. Having that compassion is necessary. So having those tools that allow you to have more understanding of these people, it helps you with that choice, because being in love is something. Staying in love and lasting in love, it's different things. To last in love, it's a choice of choosing the other person every day, because we're not tied together. You have to you have to be willing to go through that fight all the time. And knowing and understanding that other half in a certain way helps you choose again, because you're like, you know what? That's who she is, and vice versa. So thank you, Catherine, for sharing your experiences with us, and also enlighten our audience with astrology and the atoms, everything, because I think these conversations are really necessary, especially with the world that we're living in today, where we're so distant with technology, right? And I don't know if
We're
you
distant from you mean
so
from each
distant from
other?
each other because technology makes you feel so close yet so distant. And I think we are living in that era where it's our time
Mm,
to actually cast light on what we're bringing to the table, because humans will need more connection more than ever in
yeah.
today's world. And having those tools and understanding that you won't get that through ChatGPT. I think this is much important. And this is one of the reasons why we created RPS, which is Real People Everyday Spirituality. So we can have those honest conversations and bring amazing souls like all of you on the table and sharing these experiences that can help people grow, and not only grow together, but grow as our individual selves.
That's why I'm so grateful for these conversations today, because I feel like in the air it's palpable. Maybe it's just in my mind. But there's something in the air, and everybody that I talk to feels very similar in one shape, way or another, or intensity or another, that something is happening in the world, on the planet, that things are shifting. It might take 2 years, it might take 20 years. And like you said, Didier, that, we're so disconnected because of technology, but also so connected. But through conversations, which I love having with people, and I was so tired to be doing this behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to bring this to a bigger table. I want us to be able to talk about these things that are taboo or not. They're not commercial,
Or
for lack
people
of
say that are woo
woo woo wah wah. I don't know, woo woo.
Woo woo. They say woo woo.
To It's so exciting. I mean, look at this. We can talk about so many different things in one sitting, in one conversation, as long as you're open-minded and doing this. So I'm really grateful that this opportunity is blooming and blossoming, because it really came from a feeling, a desire. And I think if people can pay attention to their feelings and their gut instincts, I think the world will be a better place.